Hi, I'm Rachel Phillips-Buck, and today I want to talk to you about how you can use open cases to help manage your outreach and connections to students. So the first thing you want to do is figure out who on campus has capacity to do one-on-one meetings with students. This might be coaches, you might have RAs and RDs, advisors, anybody who might have normally spent their day engaging with students that now has some free time. So figure out who you're going to assign those cases to. Then you'll go into Ferris 360 and create a new care area. You can call it whatever you want. You might call it mentorship, you might call it connections or community check-ins. It'll be a big bucket of information where everybody's keeping track of the ways that they're connecting to students. Then you'll go in and you'll add students to that care area and assign each one to the right mentors. We have a lot of Help Center articles that will help you do that step by step, but the idea here is that every student on your campus has an open case that somebody is managing so that we can keep track of connections and where we are in the process. We have two really important tools in Ferris 360 to help you with that. The first one is your statuses. So you can create global statuses or personal statuses. That case status is to help you keep track of where you are in the process. So you might change it to accepted once you've tried to make some contact with the student. If you're having a back and forth conversation with the student, maybe you change your status to actively managing. We have a lot of best practice ideas for that, but that will be a really useful tool as you're using open cases to manage your connection. The other one is case type, and that's a way for you to keep track of what's going on with that individual student. So it might be that they have family concerns or they're having technology issues. You'll be able to apply a specific label to every open case for every student so you know what kinds of issues you want to be assessing for them. Remember to be connected to those students. So I would set an expectation for your mentors or your coaches or whoever's connecting with students about how often students should be hearing from them. That might be once a week. And there's lots of different formats for you to be able to do that. I would encourage you too that just because you're not hearing back from a student does not mean that you aren't making a connection with them. They may be looking forward to those letters that you're writing them, the emails that you're sending them, the quick text. It makes them feel connected even if they're not responding. The last thing that I would say is remember to use record contact. So you're going to teach everybody who's connecting with students to use record contact. And that's a way to just make sure we have in the system the kind of loose narrative of what you talk to that student about. So that's an open narrative box. You'll be able to go into the system and record that contact. Another idea is to create a specific student update so that everybody who goes in and has a meeting with a student is guided through the things that you want for them to be talking about. So you might ask them to make sure and check in on students. How are you doing on your online classes? Are you having any difficulty? That way you get a really consistent approach to those check-ins no matter who's doing them. And also you can do some really robust analytics. For example, you could go in and say, this week I want to see every student where their check-in coach recorded that the student was feeling lonely. And then we could create a specific intervention for those groups of students. So if you're not using Student Update, I would encourage you to look into that. I think it's a really powerful tool to guide those connections and consistency of the Success Coach conversations. Also, don't forget those student updates can be set to be recorded as contact, so you actually know that that comes out of an engagement with the student and not just an administrative task. Remember, if you're using our student impact survey, that we're going to pull that into the system and we can make that accessible for those check-in people on your campus to be able to talk about any of the things that the student have identified as things that they're struggling through or things that they'd like to have more conversation about. As I said, we're gonna link below with all of the Help Center articles that will give you a step-by-step process on how to open cases, assign them, and then use our case management features to make sure that none of your students are falling between the cracks, that they all feel connected to your community, and that they're all hearing from connections that say, hey, we see you, we're in this together, we're looking forward to August when we're back together. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to email me, Rachel@ferrisresources.com. It's a pleasure to serve you.